I think probably most of you know. I'm Mr. Cervantes, right down in your hallway to 7th grade science. So good to see you again. I love you 8th graders because you always say hi to me. And I feel very welcome down there in the 8th grade hall. Yeah. That's a joke.
Oh yeah. No, it's not. Way to
I
tell
have
me.
many jokes that are equally as funny. But all right, so I'm here on Bike Week. Mr. Bashir's asked me because last year I did a bike tour from Sacramento, California, all the way back to here, Colorado, and that lasted 27 days, which is about 4 weeks, and I went with 2 of my buddies. And I think if you go to the next slide, there's a map, and that's a real long way to drive. And I know because I've driven it. But I did say the word bike tour, so you might be wondering what is a bike tour exactly. And it's definitely not what the next picture shows, which is a gentleman holding onto the back of a car. That is not the proper way to bike tour. So the next picture, that actually is more like what we did. We rode our bikes the whole way. And you know, we carried these funny bags, and that pretty much had everything that we needed for that whole 27-day trip. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you about that today and sort of how it happened. The riding I'll get to, but first I want to kind of go on about how do you even start doing something like this? Like, who would come up with this kind of idea, and who especially would agree to do it? So the planning was a big part that we didn't really pay a lot of attention to. But it started out with my buddy Derek approaching me, and like any kind of foolish idea, it starts off with someone posing something really ridiculous with a question. Hey, Gabe. He calls me Gabe because he's not one of my students. Gabe, how would you like to go on a bike tour across the United States? And I should mention something that maybe you guys don't know, but us teachers know. We get paid over the summer. And it's not because we get paid a lot of money. It's because they reduce how much they pay us during the year, and then that way it stretches for the whole 12 months. That's why you never see teachers like mowing lawns for extra cash, or scrubbing the bumpers on cars, that kind of stuff. So we get paid over the summer. So Derek comes to me with this question, and like, hey, do you want to go ride your bike? And thinking I'm going to get paid over the summer, it's vacation, I have nothing to do. But like any foolish idea, you need someone to say yes, and I was that guy. So I said, yeah, let's do it. But we really had no idea what we were doing. We've both been biking before, like we've ridden bikes, we know how to do that. So that was like a check mark off the list. And we'd also been camping, but never anything where you combine both, and especially not for so long. So we didn't really know what to do. Thankfully though, some people did. And there's people out there who actually like planning things and making maps. And so this next slide is a website called adventurecycling.org. And these people make all these really great maps. And you can see they have a ton of maps. Maps that will take you all over the United States. Okay, up and down the coast, kind of wherever you want to go. And I say wherever you want to go because you notice there's a lot of white space right there. Because no one wants to go there. So the next picture is Derek using the map. He's explaining maps to my other buddy Trent, who I won't mention too much. But so he's teaching Trent how to read a map, and the maps are really nice. They basically took most of the planning out of the way for us. They tell you where to go, what streets to turn on, what towns you can expect, what you can expect to find in the town. Is there a grocery store? Is there a bike shop? What things can you rely on? How much climbing are you going to have to do? And I don't mean like climbing like rock climbing. I mean riding your bike up mountains. How much of that are you going to have to do? So they tell you all that. So really, I mean, we got those maps and we're like, well, planning's done. And then we hit our next kind of roadblock, which was, well, what do we bring? And we knew we needed bikes, just by the name. And I felt really blessed because I had 2 bikes at the time. I had 2, and I was like, well, I'm set for this trip. But it turns out you need a special touring bike. And a touring bike is special. That's the one I got over there. It's special because it has lower gears, so that you can ride up those hills and carry a lot of stuff. I think Derek's bike ended up weighing like 75 pounds altogether. So an extra 75 pounds that you got to pedal up the hill, you want some really nice gears. And also the front fork, right here, that has to be able to hold some bags. Call those bags panniers. So your bike has to have that. So I had to buy a whole new bike. And then it seemed like we were set, because we had the bike, the bags, and then, you know, we got the bags, and there's 4 of them, and they're really not that big. And we're going for a whole month, and anything we take, it has to be able to fit in that bag. So I'm going to show you what we fit in that bag, what we prioritize, because I'm not much of a planner. I like to wing things. Like, yeah, man, I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. If it doesn't work out, we'll change it. Derek is more the type A kind of person, where he's, actually, no, that's wrong. He's not type A. He's just the type of person that likes to worry a lot. And worry about like little tiny things, like, what if it rains on our trip that we're biking in the desert? And for a while I was like, Derek, it's summer, I don't think it's gonna rain, buddy. He's like, well, it's gonna really suck if it does, and all of our stuff is wet. So, all right, so I kind of indulge him, and well, the first thing that should be obvious is, you know, you get the bike jersey, because you have to look real cool. And being in another state, I thought I had to represent Colorado, so this is the one I wore. And then you, of course, have these nice, skimpy bike shorts, which are very nice. And I was planning on driving model that. But you know, for those of you that aren't like cyclists, these shorts do serve a purpose besides just making you look really cool. On the inside, these are turned inside out. On the inside, they have this, which is called a chamois. And the chamois is really instrumental in your comfort because it prevents the development of a rash in this area. It's a terrible place to have a rash. I don't know. Alright, but Derek's going on about this rain. So I'm like, alright, Derek. I'll bring a rain jacket just to appease you, just in case. Real light, no big deal. What if it gets cold, Gabe? Derek, it's the desert. I don't think cold is going to be our problem. Well, you may have noticed that there's a big mountain range between here and the rest of the United States heading west. So he said, well, we are going over the Rockies. You might want something more. So, I was like, all right, I'll bring this jacket-y thing and some Under Armour as sort of a thin layer. Does that sound better if I just talk like this?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
This microphone doesn't enhance the quality of my voice?
No.
Okay, well, I feel really awkward just like standing here like this anyway. So we get these clothes together, and like, after not too long, oh, these are really great. I know you all have a pair of these fleece-lined leggings from your but you get all these clothes and you start putting them in those little tiny bags, then they fill up really quick. You're like, all right, well, I've got clothes in my bag, my bike, and what else are we going to need? So you start thinking, well, what is this trip going to look like? And you realize in 27 days, I'm probably going to want to sleep at some point. So that means you have to bring all your camping gear. So like over here I have, my sleeping bag that has to go in there, a tent. We'll probably want to eat at some point, so just like a real little stove and a collapsible bowl, this kind of stuff. Now like, by the time you get all that in there, your bags are full. So So there's not a lot of entertainment to bring along. And you have to bring food too. Well, you can't carry 27 days worth of food, so you kind of have to leave space so that when you go through a town, you can fill up in a grocery store and put that all in your bags as well. So we kind of got all that stuff sorted out, and that was the whole planning thing. We just kind of wung it, basically. Let's talk about the actual ride. Well, that's sort of what you would expect. We rode our bikes a lot. Every day, we rode our bikes. But there was a lot of kind of cool, interesting things that happened. And one of the first things that I liked was our first day, Derek and I were already in Sacramento, California, like visiting family or doing whatever. And so our third buddy, Trent, met us at the airport. And he flew in, he brought his bike on the plane. And Mr. Bashir, if you go to the next slide, this is us building Trent's bike in the airport. So right next to the baggage claim, we just get this huge bike box, and we're like pulling out tools and knives and all this stuff, and like some mysterious box that things just keep coming out of. And airport security didn't really seem to mind, which I thought was strange. I thought we were going to get kicked out or like arrested. But like no one even asked questions. We just got weird looks from the people waiting for their bags. And then at the end of it all, we had Trent's bike built up and a huge box. And it's real big, and a bunch of trash and stuff. And like we couldn't carry it because we were just on our bikes, and there was no dumpster around, so we just left it. Even though for like the past hour, like every 6 minutes, that announcement comes on that do not leave any unattended baggage in the baggage claim area. That would come on, and it's like a huge security threat or whatever, but we just left, and we didn't get arrested or anything down the road, so it kind of worked out. The ride was really cool. One of the things a lot of people ask me about is the weather. How was the weather? Oh, did you have nice weather? How was it? What was the weather like? And the short answer is it was pretty good, but the second day riding, it rains. Thanks, Derek. It rained. And here's a little side note. This is the Sierra Nevadas. This is like California's Rocky Mountains. They're a pretty legit mountain range. And so to get from California back this direction, we have to cross these. And it happens to be on the day that it's raining. These are big mountains. It took us literally 2 days to bike over them. Just uphill, 2 days. Pedaling really slow, uphill. And the first day it rained. And we're all jazzed, starting out on this bike trip, and it's raining, and like we're feeling tough for braving the weather, and like people are honking their horns. Good job, man. And it was really cool, except my rain jacket is not rain-proof. I think there's like a time expiration